Imagine police find a woman's body in an abandoned yard, hog-tied, with her hands and feet bound behind her back and a nylon stocking tied tightly around her throat.
That sounds like a clear-cut, brutal murder scene.
You'd think so, but an autopsy finds enough morphine in her system to kill her long before those knots were ever tied. This is the story of Cindy James, a woman who reported being terrorized by a stalker 100 times over 7 years. Yet the police were convinced she was doing it all to herself.
Wait, so they think she hogtied herself and then overdosed? How is that even physically possible?
To understand the end, we have to look at 1982. Cindy James was 44, a highly respected psychiatric nurse in Vancouver who specialized in helping children. She had just separated from her husband, a prominent psychiatrist named Roy Makepeace.
The timing seems a bit on the nose. Did the troubles start the moment she moved out?
Almost to the day. It started with whispered, threatening phone calls that felt like someone was breathing down her neck. Within months, someone smashed her porch lights, cut her phone lines, and left terrifying notes on her doorstep.
Okay, that's standard stalking behavior. Scary but common. Did she call the cops?
She did. She filed over 100 reports. But as she moved to a new condo to escape, the tormentor followed her. It stopped being about notes and started being about blood. She eventually found her own cat hanging from a tree, poisoned.
That's a massive escalation. It sounds like she was living in a horror movie while the rest of the world just watched.
The horror turned physical in 1985. A friend found Cindy in a ditch, suffering from hypothermia and wearing only a nightgown. She had a needle puncture mark on her arm and was totally incoherent.
Did she describe the guy? There has to be a description if she was literally grabbed.
That's the problem. She could never describe him. She claimed she was drugged and blacked out. Later that same year, she was found in her car with a paring knife driven straight through her hand, pinning it to the dashboard.
Hold on. A knife through the hand? Why would the police doubt that? You can't exactly fake the pain of a knife through bone.
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police spent $1.5 million investigating her. They tapped her phones. They put her house under 24-hour surveillance. But here's the kicker. Every time a guard went to get coffee or turned their head, an attack happened. The cameras saw nothing. No fingerprints, no strange DNA, no footprints in the snow around her house.
So the police started thinking the calls were coming from inside the house.
Exactly. They suspected Cindy was using her medical knowledge to inject herself with drugs, stage the scenes, and then induce a dissociative state so she'd genuinely believe she was a victim. Her family and her private investigator, Brian O'Callahan, fought back. They argued she was being hunted by a forensically aware predator, someone who knew exactly how to avoid the police.
It's a stalemate. But then she goes missing for real.
May 1989. Cindy disappears after grocery shopping. Her car is in a mall parking lot with groceries inside and blood on the seat. 2 weeks later, a property owner finds her body in a yard in Richmond. She's naked from the waist up, hog-tied, with a stocking around her neck.
And the police still said she did it?
They tried. They argued she could have bound her feet, then her hands in front, slipped them over her legs, and tightened the stocking before the drugs kicked in. But even the professional knot experts were baffled by the complexity of the bindings.
This case is infuriating. Did the family ever get an answer?
In 1990, a coroner's inquest heard from 80 witnesses. The jury rejected the police theory of suicide, but they couldn't prove murder either. They officially ruled her death resulted from an unknown event.
Unknown event? That feels like a massive cop-out for a woman who spent 7 years begging for help.
It's a legal limbo that haunts Canada to this day. It highlights the terrifying reality of institutional gaslighting. If a victim's story is too strange or the predator is too smart, the system often defaults to blaming the victim's mental health.
It's either the most elaborate suicide in history, or a killer committed the perfect crime right under the nose of $1 million task force.
And because there's no DNA and no confession, we will likely never know which one it was. Cindy James took the secret to her grave, bound in knots that nobody has been able to untie for 30 years.
Alex, what's the one thing to remember about Cindy James?
Remember that the lack of evidence of a killer isn't always evidence that there wasn't one. Sometimes, the most dangerous predators are the ones who know how to remain invisible.
That's Wikipedia. Every story on demand. Search your next topic at wikipedia.ai.